Why your adult child needs a will, even at 18? Stick around. We're going to talk about it on the next episode of Senior Care Made Simple.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Andrea Albertini, the host of Senior Care Made Simple podcast, and I am here today with my co-host, Doris Muscarella. Hello, Doris.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for listening.
Well, I'm so glad you guys joining us again. So, Doris, I want to tell you what happened this week. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that, either because they don't want to talk about it or because they think that nothing can happen because they're young or because it's just a lack of knowledge. So let me tell you what came up this week. People think that just because, you are young, you don't need to worry about wills, living wills, healthcare surrogate. You don't need all that, right? So when your child becomes 18, you are no longer in charge of anything anyway, number one. And number two, you can't call the doctor to find out what's going on unless they put your name on the record. You can't call anywhere. You can't do anything. Sometimes not even pick up their medicine in a pharmacy if it's a narcotic or a psych medication. So we had actually was the son of a client of ours actually, and he was 18. So now he's in a hospital. We're in the state of Florida. Now, just so you all know, every single state is different when it comes to guardianship, when it comes to healthcare surrogate, and so on and so on. So what happened was my girlfriend, that we know, the child had a really, really bad accident. It's in a coma. Right now, it's touch and go.
That's very sad. Very,
very, very sad. Devastating. The family is just struggling to figure out how are they going to do this, right? And so right now, I don't know where they are with that, but I want you all to really think about this, because your child could have they may have student loan, they may have a car in their name, bank account, social media. They may not have a home, they may not have, estate or anything, but they have some kind of identity that, that now the family needs to have the rights to be able to access.
Correct. And it's important when your kids go to college, they graduate from high school and they're headed out to college. You should think about this, of having these documents in place when they go to college, whether they are local or whether they go out of state. So this is really important. I agree with you.
You see how sensitive
how
this
important
is? How important this is? And no one realizes that. But until it happens. And listen, it doesn't happen as much as an elderly person, of course, but it happens. It happens with your children that is over 18.
Yes. And there is a stigma. You really sometimes don't want to think about your 18-year-old daughter or son having, to have a surrogate or a will or any of the stuff. Have a power of attorney if you can, which is really important, so that you can make decisions in case they can't make their own decisions, which is really important.
Right. You can have a power of attorney and have that included your healthcare surrogate.
Yes.
And you can choose this. Here's the other thing, too, that I have learned. You can choose the person who's going to take care of your financial things and your business, and you can have a separate person that is going to look after you in terms of your healthcare.
Exactly.
So you may trust your brother to take care of all the other things, financials, personal, but then you trust your sister to be able to take care of you health-wise because your sister could be in healthcare. So it is very important that you have your power of attorney as soon as you become 18, because your parents are no longer going to be responsible for you. And people don't realize that. And it's happening all the time.
Absolutely. And you think your child at 18 doesn't have any assets or doesn't have anything of value, but they do.
They do.
They do. They have their cars. They have digital assets also that are important that you don't think about. So it is really important, once again, to reiterate the fact that they need a will, they need health care, surrogate, and all that information.
It's interesting, too, that came up last week in one of my meetings is that if you don't have a power of attorney, you cannot even shut down your Instagram, your Facebook, or any social media that you have. You're not going to be able to shut it down. So, if God forbid, your loved one pass and you want that social media to be gone for whatever reason,
right.
You don't know. Some people do. You won't be able to take it down unless you have the power of attorney. And it's so important. And this has come out a couple times this week. That's why I'm so hyper about this week, because it's been happening. And then I have another friend of mine, actually the son was 25 years old, right? And he overdosed.
Oh, that's sad.
Now the kid had a condo, the kid had mortgage to pay, car payment to pay, the kid had a whole entire life. She was never prepared for that. So now you have to hire an attorney. You have to pay hourly to that attorney. And it can take 6 months to a year for you to even be able to get control of the assets. And in the state of Florida, if you don't have that set up, you'll be warded of the state.
Hopefully you won't need to use it for a long time, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. It will reduce the stress in the family if there is any during a crisis. If you have the documents ready and available, it will reduce some of the stress. And, it is a very, very stressful situation. So that is also good to have.
And even as soon as your kid become 18, how about give them the gift of a power of attorney? The power of attorney can cost you from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on what attorney is getting this paperwork done for you. So you know what? Your child become 18, give them the gift of going to an attorney and helping them set up their power of attorney so they are safe if any emergency happens.
Correct. I have 2 daughters, and I've said this on the podcast before, and I've asked them, who's going to handle your affairs? They live out of town. So I handle, and they told me they have each other, which is okay because I'm older and, the likelihood of them living longer is better than mine. So I asked them about that. They did do a will. They did have a power of attorney. And then it's between the 2 sisters, which is great. Doesn't have to be the mother or the father. It could be just another sibling also.
Absolutely. It can be anybody. It can be a best friend. It can be a godmother. It can be whoever it is, anybody that you can trust. And like I said, the representative doesn't have to be both healthcare surrogate and take care of the state. You know what I mean? Whatever the state may be. It can be one person. It can be 2 people for different things. But whatever it is, give your child or yourself the gift of a power of attorney to make sure that your affairs are handled. It is so important. And Doris, I've been seeing a lot of that lately with younger people, especially, with drug abuse and things like that, because you have no control. I mean, I had a personal experience with my family myself, family member of mine, that if I didn't have the power of attorney, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't access anything.
And with this day and age of the internet, you can get information about how to create one and then have an attorney look at it or have the attorney prepare it for you. But you should have it in place as soon as you turn 18.
Yeah, but don't keep it for yourself. You got to give it to the person who's going to be your executive of will, or your executive who's going to be your power of attorney or your healthcare surrogate to say, if this happened to me, please, this is my information. This is the paper. Needs to make sure that if you're doing that by yourself, yes, you can go to ChatGPT. You don't have to go to an attorney, and you can have your own papers drawn up. Absolutely. But make sure it's looked at to an attorney. Even if, you give them, I don't know, whatever they charge, or at least have it notarized. It's very important that you have notarized and give it. And then also put in different places on your house. Put it on your file. Everyone has a file in their home with their documents and things like that. You can do that and give it to 2 or 3 different relatives. If just in case something happened in your house, God forbid, at least who else has it. And and then you tell each other, hey, listen, Maria, my cousin has it. Anna, my sister has it. Tell each other who has it, just in case something happened. It's just so important. We have another patient in a hospital right now who is a physician, who's 90 years old, who, now cannot answer for themselves. Now you have the wife and 3 children arguing over him, right? So here's what happened. This is so important, you guys. The patient is agitated. He has fully dementia. He's in a hospital. He's in ICU, completely agitated. And the family are fighting because technically they have to give them some kind of medication to be able to get him to settle down and not be so combative so the hospital can care for him the right way, right? Well, 2 of the members of the family don't want to give him any drugs.
Oh,
okay. So now they are fighting, but here's what's happening. Who's suffering right now? He is. He's suffering because he's completely agitated. So the hospital had to, strain him. So all these things that should be written, what do you desire? What do you want? What do you want to happen to you if you become incapacitated? Put it in paper. Assign one person that you trust the most to make that decision. Because what ends up happening is the family keep fighting. Because do they want what's the best for their loved one? Absolutely, no doubt about it. But they don't understand, so everybody's fighting. So now I have the wife and the 3 daughters fighting right now.
Oh, that's terrible. Too stressful for me. It's just such a morbid conversation to have. Okay. When I talked to my daughters about it, it was like morbid. And they were like, really, Mom? Are you really thinking about that? I'm saying it's better to be safe than to be sorry. It's always better to plan than to get the unexpected so that you don't go through the stress or the hardship. So we encourage you to speak to your child or even to your significant other if you do not have these documents in place. It is your responsibility to make sure that they have them, and it's your responsibility to have some for yourself also.
No, absolutely. So anyway, I know I was a little hyper today, Doris. I'm sorry. It's just that every day I keep seeing some of those things, and that's why we did this podcast, right? So we are able to share with our community, with you all, about different things and in life in general. I thank you. I thank everybody for joining us today in Senior Care Made Simple podcast. If any of you out there would like us to talk about a topic or would like to come in the show and talk about anything that may help all of us, because sometimes we have guests as well, and I keep learning, and I'm sure you do too, Doris. We keep learning every day more and more, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if anyone is interested, again, in becoming into the show to talk about anything, please email us at seniorcaremadesimple@gmail.com. seniorcaremadesimple@gmail.com. For now, have an absolutely amazing rest of the week, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.